whenever you're ready, okay?
I'll start. My name is Charlotte Santasy. Oh, I'm Caitlin.
I'm Chantel Runningberry from the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe.
Sorry, we're a little slow this morning, guys, okay? So we're group 3, and our topic is about, hold on, let me pull it up. It is, oh my God. The effects of Native children leaving their Native communities. But what we're gonna be talking about is ICWA, which is a big thing when you think about Native children leaving their Native communities. So, when you think about Native children leaving their home, do you guys think they'd be doing it willingly, or do you think they'll be forcibly removed from their homes? Probably removed, right? Statistically, you would think that. So, my article is going to be Commandeering the Indian Child Welfare Act by Jessie Shaw. Now, she is going to be talking about ICWA, when it started, and it was passed in November 1978 in response to the forced removal of Native children from their families. When the children were removed from their homes, they were placed in non-Native homes. Between 1969 to 1974, 25% to 35% of all Native children were put in foster care or adopted. It was shown that 90% of the kids went to non-Native homes. Studies have also shown removing these kids was not in their best interest, but racially motivated. The removal of Native children started in the 1860s, when Native children were stolen from their homes and placed in boarding schools. From the years 1959 to 1967, Native children adoption rates rose under the Indian Adoption Act. Tribes were concerned that if Native children are raised in non-Native homes, they will be deprived of their culture. A study was done in 2013 showing that Native American children were 2 times more likely to be in foster homes. In some states, Native children were up to 14% more likely to be placed in foster care. But in 2016, the Obama administration responded to this issue and updated the guidelines in regards to ICWA. I hope.
And for our definition, what we come up with was the Indian Child Welfare Act, ICWA. Was created in 1978 and is a federal law that governs the removal of out-of-home placement of American Indian children. My analysis and summary. I found an article that kind of talked about what is taking place today in the Supreme Court with the Holland versus Fracking case. The U.S. Supreme Court heard oral arguments for a case challenging the Indian Child Welfare Act, which dictates how Native children are placed in foster or adoptive homes. This case is Holland versus Fracking. I guess I can say it was very personal for me. It needs to be taken more seriously than it's been. I have seen both sides of the Indian Child Welfare Act take place on a reservation with Native American children, and not every process of getting a child into a tribal foster home is the quickest process. I was 11 years old and I had to say goodbye to my very first nephew due to blunt force trauma to his 20-month-old body. I will never forget the name of the woman who the county courts didn't hold any accountability to. This hurt my family more than anything, and I will say his name, Nathaniel Santasy Mitchell. He didn't get a chance to live a life as full of love as he deserved. It was cut short at 20 months old by non-Native foster home placement. Before I made a decision to end my short stint of being a caseworker for my tribal children and family services department, ICWA was under fire, and I feel like it always has been. It had appeared that the Holland versus Bracking case made its way to the U.S. Supreme Court, and now our judicial system is threatening the young lives of Native American children by challenging one of the few laws that protects not only children, but the future of Native American communities throughout this country. It is so claimed by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton that the Indian Child Welfare Act is unconstitutional because it places the child's race over their general best interest.
Thank you.
My portion of the speech here is more of the very gray parts of the ICWA Act. I found two very different opposites of the act. In one of the articles, one is very pro-ICWA. This man was adopted out to a non-native family when he was young, and he was abused and was lacking an identity. And his whole life, he was craving that identity to be part of the Native community. And so, with his personal experience, he will fight for ICWA to make sure that our Native children stay in Native communities, Native homes. And we have another article that I found that is more recent. We have a young girl who was taken away from her Native family due to drug abuse. And she was put in a non-Native family with a very loving caretakers, parents. And this girl got really attached to them. However, they ended up taking her away from that family and put back into the Native community with abusive parents. And now they are fighting for this young girl to go back to her non-Native family. So, in a way, it's very controversial with some people, but at the same time, it's challenging our sovereignty with our own laws. And that's all we have.
Thank you.